Hello everybody, today we're going to unbox and take a close-up look at the Nike Air 180 Black and Hyper Crimson. So let's first take a look around the outside of the box. So in this box is a pair of Nike Air 180 Black and Hyper Crimson shoes, and this pair is in the men's UK size 9, US 10, Europe 44, Brazil 42, 28 cm, and it's also in a women's US size 11.5, and this pair is in a black Hyper Crimson black colourway. And now let's go ahead and open up the box by lifting up the box lid to reveal the contents inside. Let's peel back the wrapping paper to reveal the Nike Air Max or Nike Air 180 Black and Hyper Crimson. And let's lift out the left shoe first and focus on it. So just setting the box to the side, setting it on the left hand side of the tabletop and giving you a look at this Nike Air 180 Black and Hyper Crimson before we take much closer in looks. And let's do a 360 rotation so you have a full and clear look of the shoe before we take much closer in looks at its details. So now taking a much closer in look at the shoe's details, we can see it does have an overall Hyper Crimson and black colorway, so a two-tone colorway with a very high contrast. You can see the Hyper Crimson or red or bright red on the overall black details of the upper as well as the midsole of the shoe. So giving you that close-up look, we can see that with the toe box area there is fabric making up the vamp, as well as short nap suede for the leather details and overlays of the shoe. So slowly moving towards the back, we can see the continuation between the textile or fabric details as well as the short nap suede of the shoe. So you can see with the Nike swoosh, it does have a somewhat irregular look and contrasted with that Hyper Crimson stitching around the edges. And of course around the midsole wedge we can see the Hyper Crimson Nike Max Air unit, and just squeezing in on that airbag. It feels rather stiff and sturdy. Nonetheless, giving you a look at the details right around that 180 Air unit. And of course, let's try and achieve focus again. And just giving you that quick look as well on the underside and the opposite side right there with that 180 Air unit. And with the heel counter, there is that soft plastic heel counter, and taking a look directly from the back, you can see the Nike Air branding embroidered in Hyper Crimson on black. And the 180 molding on the midsole of the heel. And taking a look towards the inner side of the shoe, once again we see that soft plastic heel counter or heel stabilizer, as well as that airbag in Hyper Crimson. So very stark high contrast details with the Hyper Crimson stitching as well as the airbag as well as the polyurethane section of the sole right there. So giving you a look at the overall details of that very fine short nap suede, or possibly even nubuck, of the uppermost panels of the shoe. And now taking a look from the tip front or toe of the shoe and slowly moving towards the back to give you a look along the length of this Nike Air 180 black and hyper crimson. So you can see black laces, and with the tongue we see the 180 branding. Molded onto the tongue. You can see that it does have that textural quality to it. And taking a look at the back of the tongue, but before we do that, let's pop out the paper stuffing for a better view. So the tongue very thin, and a tongue label on the back, giving you a look at that label as well as the overall details with the tongue. So the tongue with that kind of stamped 180 print that's molded into the tongue. So there's that textural quality. Not sure if that comes through in the video, but nonetheless right there with that 180 half colouring. And around the ankle and heel collar, let's have a feel. So very firm and thickly padded or bolstered heel section or back section of the ankle and heel collar. So heel section thickly padded with a medium to high level of firmness, and it does taper out from the back to the front, so narrowing towards the front or ankle section, so thin to medium to thick as it moves towards the front to the back section around the collar of the shoe. So now taking a look around the inside details as well as best that we can. You can see the material sticker or composition label on the insole or sock liner, and that black insole and hyper crimson lining that extends from the collar of the shoe downwards. And now let's take a look at the sole or bottom of the shoe, so we can see that two-tone colouring of the rubber and of course polyurethane sections of the sole. So waffle sole with that two-colour design with black and hyper crimson. So you can see Nike molded towards the midfoot section. And to give you some sense of the rubber sole, just dragging my finger along the various parts and of course the polyurethane section. And tapping my fingernail along that sole. And to give you some idea of the midsole as well, just pressing down on the midsole section. So firm but bouncy midsole. And now let's do a flexibility bend and twist test with my hands to give you some sense of the shoe's firmness, stiffness or pliability. Okay, and just stretching the shoe back in shape. And now let's take a look at the right shoe, so setting the left shoe down and in the background, so there's no interference as we bring the shoebox back in frame and pop out the right shoe. So setting the box back to the side on the left and giving you a look at the right shoe, and we do a 360 rotation with this side as well for that quick initial look. And now of course taking a close-up look at its details, so once again we see the kind of very smooth textile and short nap suede, or even perhaps nubuck upper of this Nike Air 180 black and hyper crimson. As you can see, those high contrast, bright red and black details throughout the shoe. And let's pop out the paper stuffing on this side as well, so we can see the inside details more clearly. So the tongue label on this right shoe, and of course now we can see the insole or sock liner print details more clearly without the material sticker in the way. And of course the other labels and lining details on the inside of the shoe as best that we can. So you can see that there is a kind of sock-like sleeve or partial sleeve details, and with the kind of mesh panels just about see-through on the other side. Well, of course, with the sock-like sleeve does provide that coverage against that see-through mesh of the outer panel. And once again, of course, that 180 degree visible Max Air unit cushioning. And now let's take a look at the pair side by side. And from the front to the back. Directly from the back. And the soles or bottoms of the waffle sole 180 degree Nike Air cushioned sole design. So actually let's tuck that in. So that's Nike Air 180 black and hyper crimson. Thanks for watching and happy walking!